It looks like the team over at Flybird finally made the bench I'm looking for, except they left out one crucial thing. But let's take a look at the Flybird weight bench that's made in 2021. So the big standout difference here between this bench and my older bench, as they are both Flybird weight benches, is that one has red trimming around it and the sizing is a bit different. Looking at this iteration of the bench, it can support up to 700 pounds. So that's you plus whatever weight you might be using. It can again support up to that 700 pound weight limit. Just like the bench before it, it also has 2-inch foam padding on both the backrest and the seat for optimal comfort. And I can say, after my initial testing, it is just as comfortable as the one I had before it. This bench comes with 8 different back positions. It starts all the way up at about 90 degrees and can go all the way down to about a negative 30-degree angle. It also has 3 separate seat positions, so if you want to angle it a little bit higher or lower just for more comfort. And it has 4 different feet rest positions depending on how you want to anchor your feet while using the bench. And lastly, this bench can fold up and fit into pretty much any closet or under a counter or bed, just like the one before it. But the thing that they missed here, and I'm going to get into it a bit later, is that it cannot stand on its own, as the one folded side does not reach all the way to the ground like my older version does. So with that, let's take a look at the dimensions of this version of the Flybird weight bench. So the upgrade I was looking for is that the seat height, which was 21 inches on the old bench, has dropped down to about 19 inches. And I found for me at 5'11", this is perfect for my height, as I feel like I can put my feet flat and secure on the floor when doing any of the exercises I need to. So the backrest I measure out at about 30.5 inches. So this is good for me. If you're someone really tall, your head might go up over this. But again, being at 5'11", this works perfectly for my height. So the distance of the feet placed on the ground for support comes in at about 47 inches. Now, when doing some testing, there is a little bit of wobble, probably just as much or maybe a little bit less than my bench before it, but this one, it's just about the same where I was using it. I really never felt like it's going to fall over. I read a review saying that you feel like you're going to fall over on this. No, you don't. Not if you have planted your feet securely on the ground. You will be just fine. And also, I use this on a rug surface, so it's even more wobbly, and I've yet to fall over on my old version or in my testing for this newer version. And to round out the dimensions, the feet width come in at about 14 inches. So that is your base support is about 14 inches wide. So the unboxing process for this was very straightforward. Just like the previous one, it pretty much comes complete for you right out of the box. There's only 2 things you need to add, which are the feet anchoring and adding 2 separate pin selectors into the bench itself. One of those pin selectors was in the old version, and this one helps to add a bit more support to the bench overall. If you didn't have this, I'm pretty sure you would drastically cut down how much weight you could put on this bench before it collapsed, so make sure you put that in. The other pin goes into the foot anchoring placement, so you pick one of those 4 holes, you slip the pin in through with the foot anchor in order to pick the option you'd like. And the total build process probably took less than 5 minutes to do, so you really just take it out of the box, put on that foot anchoring, the pins, and you're good to go. So my initial thoughts on this version of the Flybird bench are that it is exactly what I was looking for, but 2 things are holding it back from being perfect. One being that I don't really like the red trim around the edges. I think they could have just kept it all black. And the other one being, why didn't you make it so it could stand on its own? My biggest con is that it doesn't stand. Yes, I can lay it up against a wall or lay it flat on the floor, but the old one was perfect for the closet I have. I could just pick it up and put it in and just let it sit there, standing on its own, and then I could just pick it up and move it back out when I want to use it. Now I have to lay it up against a wall or put it flat or something else. Again, very minor con, but just something that annoys me. So if they, in the next version, can make both those feet the same height so it can stand on its own, I would much appreciate it. When it comes to stability, this is very good. It's just about as stable as the last one. There is a little bit of wobble, so things like doing hip thrusts, you might find that they're probably not the best idea without having some kind of wall support behind you. But outside of that, as long as you plant your feet well on the floor and you do the exercises without like jumping or throwing yourself around, you're going to be just fine. Again, I use this on a rug surface, and I've never ever fallen over when using it properly. So the pin selector when changing the backrest of the bench is excellent. It's just like the old version in that it's just a spring-loaded pin that you can take out, move it up and down depending on what you want the angle to be, and lock it back in that way. I've never had any issues with this in testing and in the old versions, so I'm glad they went with this version of it for this weight bench. And lastly, is this worth the price of $179.99? basically $180. And looking at the old bench, it's about that price as well. I think it's actually discounted in the old version as it's a bit bigger and bulkier, but this one being a little bit smaller, I think could go with maybe around the 150 mark. But for me, it's matching everything I want, really, except for it not being able to stand up on its own. So I am going to go and move over to this one because it got the height right this time. They just have that one very small but annoying con for me regarding that standing position. So if I'm comparing the old bench to the new bench, what do I think about them and which one do I think you should go with moving forward? Personally, I'd go with the new bench if you're around 6 feet tall like I am. So again, I'm at 5'11", just under 6 feet. If you're around my height, I recommend going with that. If you are taller than that, if you're maybe around like 6'2", 6'3", or more, I would definitely go with the other bench as you're going to probably have a better time with the seat position being at 21 inches. If you're really short, I'd probably go with this bench or even find just a shorter bench in general that might fit better for your needs. The benches otherwise are pretty much the exact same thing except for again being able to stand up on its own. They look almost identical in what they're made of. The material, they have that 2-inch foam thick padding. You have a bunch of different back positions. They have the pin selector. So again, all that is very, very, very similar. So I can't really complain about that. It's just really the height or the seat height of the bench now and being able to stand on its own. And since this one has I'd say the better pro to it versus what the con is on the other one, I'm gonna have to go with the newer bench for myself. But that is it. If you need to take a look at the larger bench, make sure you click on the video here that I'm putting up on screen. But with that, remember to be fit and game on.